This woman who completed the training the last time, she said, Zavi, you've really taught me how to teach with more kindness and with more love. And so I think at the end of the day, that's the type of environment that we're creating in our classes, where students can kind of just step into the class and feel like they can be exactly who they are, really be their authentic selves. And as we think about the impact that trauma has on an individual, the basic concept that informs the work of trauma-sensitive yoga is that trauma impacts every area of human functioning. Our physical, our mental, our behavioral, our social, and our spiritual. And trauma is a somatic reaction in our body, right? So people aren't necessarily registering their trauma as stories, but as felt physical sensations in their body. And in addition to sort of the physical manifestation of trauma that a survivor might experience when the trauma happens, they're also experiencing those somatic feelings when they're sharing their story as well. So that might be manifested in the body when a survivor is talking with a therapist, perhaps, and suddenly their palms get really sweaty, or they get really nervous, or maybe they lack eye contact with that person. Maybe their stomach is hurting. Maybe they get a migraine, right? So it's not only are people experiencing the somatic impact when the trauma happens, but also it's lingering in the body long after the trauma occurs. And it can be manifested in the body as a trigger, and we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like. So I think what's important to understand about triggers is that when the body is undergoing really extreme stress, or a survivor has a flashback or a nightmare, or maybe they see somebody that reminds them of their perpetrator, or perhaps a yoga teacher comes and places their hands on them without their permission. Like Emily, you were talking about sort of that anxiousness that you might feel if a yoga teacher is coming into your space and that is not welcomed. That can place that survivor right back into that experience of trauma as if it is happening in that moment. And so I think it's important to have that framework, because even if you are teaching a class at a yoga studio or at a gym, it's important to know what might be manifesting in people's bodies and what they might be experiencing and where that's coming from. I think